Hello, friends. I have the pleasure once again of being here with you and with Reverend Betty Tatalajski, the founder of the Temple of Universality. And someday we will talk about that a little more than we're going to today. It's as they say, it's quite a story. But before we get into this week's program, I'd like to make a little announcement. There's a friend of ours at the temple, Sal Orlando, and he's doing a project. Now,
this is a good one.
This is a good one. You know, when the world of the Temple of Universality is very, very different. And Betty will say, we have friends, and truly we do, all right? But I want to give a little example of what happened when Hoyt Robinette was here. I was discussing a project in a direct voice. You know, I mean, here's Hoyt.
Direct voice means spirit is talking directly to you.
The metaphor I use for it to explain it to somebody is like the burning bush.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there, it's talking to you, you're talking to spirit.
And your life has changed immediately.
Immediately. You're talking, that kind of feeling, okay? Now, I was dealing with, it was a legal situation, all right? Now, Betty, I've been around the temple for not a long time, but for a few years now, okay?
That's
so
right.
I know what people say, and that part of my mind sort of like.
That's right. Oh, well, you believe that.
Yeah. But I'll never say that to your face.
You believe that?
I mean, my God, okay? Now, there is this person that they keep talking about a lot, his pictures in the Grail room, and it's Dr. Baxter, okay? Dr. Baxter, as Betty says, he's the temple lawyer.
He's the temple lawyer.
You heard her say it right
and
there.
We have made him an international
lawyer. He's got a Facebook page now. He's on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, now you just heard her say that, all right? And I've heard Betty say this a number of times.
Yeah.
Okay, he's all right. She says he's free. Ask him, he'll do it. Okay,
He'll do it.
So there, last month, I'm sitting there in a direct voice, and it gets to a project I'm doing, and all of a sudden, Dr. Baxter cuts in. He just comes into the conversation. He goes, all right. He says, listen, you keep that high-priced lawyer later. All right. You need her for that.
Your friend.
Yeah.
In
California, San Diego. I mean, she's
your $1 million
lawyer.
lawyer.
Her house looks like a hotel. I mean, it's incredible. All right. And she's
worth her
She's worth her money. And Dr. Baxter cuts into the conversation, and he goes, hi, this is Dr. Baxter. And he says, you can do this, the part of the thing yourself, but you use her later, blah, blah. And then he leaves. And I'm going, Dr. Baxter, that's the one that Betty.
That's the
spirit lawyer. The lawyer
and
in
he's
spirit.
free.
And he's free. I mean, folks, so what Sal is doing, he's doing this for a Facebook, or he's doing a directory for the Spirit, and he said he wanted us to say that for those who've had help come through on the other side and have either had a picture on the silk or on the cards, and like Dr. Baxter's for lawyers, we've got Dr. Lang for medical doctors, Dr. Thorndike for heart, you know. He said if people have that spirit doctor or have information on the other side who is of assistance, get a hold of him, and he will put them in the directory.
I know.
Facebook or the temple directory.
Sal is incredible. He's doing it.
He's doing it. So he says you can contact him.
Free. Important, friends. It's free.
Ask Spirit. I mean, yeah, that's right. It hasn't been a month, but I've never received any invoice from Dr. Baxter.
No.
And I don't expect to.
And he won your case.
When he said, I knew he was right. I knew exactly what he meant. Exactly what he meant. So you can get a hold of Sal on Facebook. It's Sal Orlando. Or his phone number here in Tucson is 510-712-1212. Thanks, folks. Now, here we go.
Right. And so Sal said to me the other day at Fun Wednesday, is it all right? Would you put your teachers on here? I said, I want everybody to see them, to know them. And, because I think personally that my band is all the people around me are the best in heaven. And so I want you to know yours, and you'll think the same thing. So, okay, we did the commercial for Sal. Thank you, Sal. We're so very proud of you. Not Sal is not in spirit.
Yeah, that's right.
He's an incredible Scorpio.
Not that there's any difference between those in and those out.
No. Well, I think this is a good intro to beloved friends. I want to talk about nothing is impossible. We have a little song that we sing at the church. Nothing is impossible when you put your trust in God. Well, now that's pretty much across the board for all religion, isn't it? But the thing is that we know it. It's just like giving you names of those spirit guides in spirit world, you would call heaven, to take care of problems for you. And as Dr. Baxter says, as my practice has gotten so larger, he said, don't worry. There are more attorneys in heaven. Because when I met Dr. Baxter, sometimes I just should keep my mouth shut when I don't.
No reason to hear.
But what I said was, I didn't know there was any attorneys in heaven.
Heaven. That's right.
Anyway, he forgave me and we laughed about it, okay? But nothing is impossible when you put your faith in God. God being this level of consciousness of the creative source, we live and move and have our being in an unlimited universe, and we say God is love. So we really truly live in a world of consciousness called love. We differentiate, we create fear and anger, anxiety and all, and the world seems to support that, to keep us, as we would say, out of heaven. But really, truly, nothing is impossible. And the beloved Jesus and all of the great ones say, nothing is impossible, and as a man thinks it is. Now, science says that energy is qualified by individual consciousness, and that's what Einstein found, and that's how we discovered, as it were, quantum physics, when we were separating that little pulsation down to its minute formation. Then they stood back appalled, and when they decided that this one over here, this scientist could affect the direction, the outcome, but so was the other one over here. And that's when we found out that brought in quantum physics, as the great masters have been saying forever, as a man thinks it is. That's what all the great ones have told us. Be still and know the I am presence that is within you, for that is the spark of the divinity. It is the reality of you, never born and never dying, but going from space to space, place to place, in different identities and so forth. Now, I know we're skirting on that fearful word, reincarnation, but as I've said before, we're going to do some shows on that too, and I'm looking forward to it.
You know, Betty, much of our audience out here has somewhat of a Christian background, I would say, from location alone.
Like us.
Like us, okay? And the idea of reincarnation is anathema. It's like that kind of stuff.
Anathema.
Now, when I started looking at this, when I became a hippie, because they were into reincarnation, they were into all sorts of stuff. Hippies were into all sorts of stuff, all right? And so there I am, and I'm remembering things from the Bible. I remember when John the Baptist came in and started screaming at the Jews, get their act, blah, blah. This is what they did. They went up to John the Baptist and said, "Are you Elijah?" They were asking him, "Are you Elijah again?" Here. That's reincarnation.
That's reincarnation.
All right? They
are still waiting for him
to come back. Exactly. But reincarnation is a part of that accepted Judaic, quote, Christian belief system.
Not only a part of it.
It's at the foundation.
We're here waiting for it to happen.
Now, what happened to reincarnation between then and now was a thing called the Council of Trent.
That's right.
All right? And one of the popes, and I don't know which one, had this big thing coming together at the Council of Trent to get some stuff straightened out.
I think that was in Constantinople.
Yes.
And I think it might have been Emperor Constantine.
Yeah. It was big.
It was big.
And he changed things.
Yeah.
They had a vote. They had a vote on reincarnation. They had a vote on astrology.
That's right.
And folks,
took it all out.
it's like the sequester.
Yeah.
They lost. They probably had committees. They probably had arm twisting. But what happened was it got tossed.
It got tossed.
Now, all you folks here who are reading your Bibles, talking to those ministers, telling you the truth, all right?
Yeah.
They are giving you the latest iteration after that stuff was tossed out.
Yeah.
And so, there it is, folks. That's why you don't know about it.
Well, and people will say, don't bore me with facts. Don't bore me with facts.
Don't confuse me with what I don't know.
That's right. Anyway, clueless no longer. Nothing is impossible. Friends, I want to mention my father again because we just had his birthday a few weeks ago, and I wasn't here, and I didn't get to celebrate him. Okay, so I want to talk about my father, a good Baptist. He said he would not say that. He would say I was a backsliding Baptist, but he certainly was not, as we would say, a spiritualist or a New Ager, as it were, until he made transition. And most of you know the story about it. I'm very candid about it because my father experienced this for me and for the world.
Before you tell this story, Ben, I want to prepare our audience.
Us?
Yeah, I got to dig a little ground here. I heard this story the first year I went to the Temple of Universality.
The first time you were there, I think.
It was Father's Day. It was Father's Day. Now, I know what happens when most of you go to your church or your temple on Father's Day, and they sit up there and they say some nice things. They say the most wonderful things, all right? So Martha and I go to this temple, and Betty is telling the story about her dad. Why? Because it's Father's Day. And on with the story.
I think you kind of went into shock, didn't you? I had never met you before either.
It was a great story.
I didn't know that till months later. That's when it came. But anyway, since my father chose to do this for a little enlightenment, okay, how would I not share it with the people? Because when Spirit put it in a poem for me, it was for the people.
Yeah.
So what happened, friends, is, my mom and dad, incredible couple, raised nine of us. I have two, and gave birth actually to two more. My mama had 11 children, and they were good parents. I mean, there were a lot of times that we didn't act like they were, that they were wrong and all. But anyway, my mama, I can just say, it was a pure saint. My mother was a saint, and as Spirit says, she definitely is. Okay. But anyway, they had been married for over 55 years, and Mama started this forgetting thing they called Alzheimer's. And so my father, is trying to take care of her. It's impossible, of course.
And he had his back went out?
Oh, he was
he had to operate.
Physically. He had back problems, and then he had a back operation
to make
where he could not walk at all.
Yeah.
He had to scoot on the pallet on the floor and intense pain. Okay?
Yeah.
So he was so sorry that he had gone into the hospital and had that done because we talked him into it. Oh, it's going to fix you, Dad.
Yeah, it'll make it better.
It fixed him so he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mama, gets progressively forgetful and so forth. My father had said, if your mama, who raised 9 children, has to go into a assistance.
In other words, out of my house,
Out
where
of my
I can't,
house.
when I can't take care of her.
If I can't take care of her, he said, I would shoot myself. Well, who believes an old sick man
Yeah.
anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't have a gun,
Yeah.
we thought, until he shot himself 2 weeks after my mother went into the nursing
Ooh.
home. And then we found out that in the clothes closet, the entryway, pushed back, that's where the gun had been. We didn't know that he had one. Well, anyway, he shot himself, and he was in such mental distress
Sure.
and pain
Sure.
of all kinds. And so when people of course feel terrible, but being a spiritualist, I knew that he was going into a sweeter, softer place
Yeah.
than he thought he
was going to, yeah.
Now, he thought that he was going to go to hell, directly to hell, and shovel coal in Hades, okay?
Now, while he
Because
thought
that's
that, though,
how he was
he
raised.
but he knew his kids thought otherwise, and especially you and your sisters.
Yes, but what's the difference between the hell of shoveling coal in hell and the hell that I could not take care of
my
my
wife.
wife,
Yeah.
who raised 9
Yeah.
children,
And was a saint.
and is a
And he knew
saint,
it.
and a saint,
And he knew it.
And how could I live with that?
Yeah.
And so he just thought he was going to trade one hell for
another.
okay?
Yeah.
But it was worth it to him. So when this happened, I thought, well, I know that he's in shock. So 2 months later, when I have taken my group to Camp Chesterfield again, Chesterfield, you can tell them about Chesterfield, okay?
Yeah. Camp Chesterfield,
Used to be.
Yeah. In 1979, Betty was told she's told in spirit at a spiritualist church here to take her class that she'd been facilitating, the Course in Miracles, to a place called Camp Chesterfield. Now, this was unknown to Betty.
Right.
This was not a part of her world. They just told her, take them to Camp Chesterfield. So Betty takes this group of people, they go back to Camp Chesterfield, and this is spiritual
Heaven.
mediums, manifestation, talking to spirit, seances, materialization, all that stuff. There was 3 centers in America. There was Lilydale, there was in New York. There was Camp Chesterfield in Indiana, and there was one in Florida.
Florida, Pasadena, Florida.
Yes, and so Betty took this group, not knowing at all what the deal was, but she's been told.
And I had met Reverend Robert Ireland.
Ireland, who is familiar with it.
He used to work there, okay?
So she knew what this place was. She didn't expect to go there and be told what was going to happen.
Yeah.
She didn't expect to go there and to experience what she experienced because she had no experience.
No
None.
reference.
None.
No field of reference.
So you go back there and what happens?
Well, they told me that I was going to become ordained, which gave me heartburn. And they said, well, don't worry about it. It's 10 years. Exactly 10 years to the day I was ordained.
And they also told you were going to travel the world, study all philosophies and all religions. And teach it. Now, how many countries have you gone to, Betty?
Well, about 140.
All right. How many trips to the Middle East have you gone on,
27.
Betty? All right. I mean, folks,
And Korea, my just 12.
Yeah,
I just
just
got
came
home
back.
2 days ago from.
Yeah.
But all over, and all people are the same.
Yeah.
They want the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, 2 months after Daddy made transition, I'm at Camp Chesterfield, and he comes in and talks to me, and he says, Betty, he said, and tears in his voice. My daddy was a very strong man. He didn't cry, but he said, Betty, I'm fine. I'm almost well. So he didn't have the physical pain, but I'm distressed. I didn't do it well. That was his pain. I didn't do it well.
And he was referring
he didn't
to
know. He
his
didn't know
life.
his
life.
life.
Okay.
But he had that exit for the world.
Yeah.
And so he sat there and he told me, I'm fine, I'm back, Mama, at Mama's house. She told me later I'm baking pies for your daddy, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to that heaven because I gave up bacon a long time ago. But it worked, okay?
Well, in that heaven, your mom can still bake and you don't have to.
No. Mama was working in the Akashic Records.
Yeah.
But anyway, my dad did this, and so I got a poem of what he said to me. These are exactly the words that my father said to me, and then Spirit comes in and puts it in poetry. But he said, soon as I left there.
Wow.
He didn't say when I shot myself.
Yeah.
He said when I
left.
left.
Okay.
Your sister Teresa, Saint Teresa of Lisieux, France, says she is my sister because we've been Carmelites together so many times, okay? Well, under different names.
Yeah.
But anyway, she said, my father was Baptist. He thought Catholicism, when I was Catholic, was off the board, okay? But, so he did not know saints. But he said, your sister Teresa met me with a bouquet of pink roses. She gave me a rose. And he says, and then she stepped over here. Mom and Dad and everybody, all of his friends, and
Wow.
he called them all by name,
Wow.
and I had told him.
Yeah.
I said, and he felt bad because he was the last one. He was in here in Tucson by himself. All of his friends
were
back
already
in
passed over,
Kentucky.
yeah.
And I said, honey, Daddy, they're going to meet you. They're going to be a wonderful communion. Well, he didn't believe that.
Like a good Southern Baptist, he thought you were going to hell.
He thought he was going to hell. But anyway, would you read what my daddy said to me? There is no death. It is not possible that you will die.
Since my father made transition, that change that we call death, he's talked with me many times, and this is what he said. I did not die, it's like you spoke, when we would share together. But all the time I didn't believe. I thought it was a joke. You spoke of the light that is white. You said I'd never die. With all my heart I wanted to believe, but I thought it was a lie. You said I'd meet my friends again, your grandmother and granddad too. You told me all my pain would leave, and I wanted to believe you. Now I see it's just as you said, and I'm as happy as can be. Tell all the family I'm content, and that finally I am free. All that talk of heaven and all those thoughts of hell create in folks a twisted mind and keep their souls in jail. Continue to tell them, my daughter, just as you tried to tell me, to laugh and love, be kind to each other, and one day they too will see. For you don't have to die to go to heaven, for it's not a place, like they said. It's the way you feel, see, and think, and you will never, ever be dead. And that hell is not a place you go just because you're not good. It's a place created by your mind because you said it could. Your mind is great and will create whatever you choose to believe. Master your mind, be not its slave, and heaven you will achieve.
I love to share this with people. If you want to call me or write me at the temple, I would be happy to send you a copy. I think it's priceless. It's the most valuable thing that I have in my life. So I have a lot of copies lying around because who knew? I think that is what a lot of people in spirit go into spirit, even though they might have been in hospice and treated well, and they have a nice leisurely, move into the spirit world. They still are apprehensive and saying, well, I didn't do it well, and are fearful. Well, I know that that's why my father made his exit the way he did, and the Spirit put it in the poetry for me to share with the world. Beloved friends, all of us have a purpose here, and nothing is impossible. It is so important, actually, that you take a quiet moment during your 24 hours. Be still and know the I Am presence that is within you.
11 o'clock, Sunday morning, the Temple of Universality, Reverend Betty Tatalajski, friends. There's more. There's more. There's more.
And you got a purpose there, and we want to know what it is. Thank you. Thank you, friends.
Worked out. Perfect. The time, the thing. Yeah.